Right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to call to order our May 7th Transportation Technical Committee meeting. Item number 2 on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Are there comments or questions? If not, I take a motion.
Motion to approve.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our agenda for today is approved. Item 3 on the agenda is approval of the April meeting minutes. For that meeting while I was gone. Any comments or questions on the minutes that were in the packet? Thought I'd look for a motion.
So move. Second.
Thank you. Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Item 4, a presentation from Polk County Health Department Traffic Safety Campaign Center.
Good morning. As this group is well aware, we've had a very strong emphasis on safety recently. We've had some funding changes to emphasize safety. But one of the things we keep hearing about these is education as part of the overall mix. So we were thrilled to hear from Polk County Health Department. They're working on a campaign around traffic safety. With us today is Julianne, and she's going to walk you through the We All Arrived campaign.
Thank you for allowing me back, and thank you for the emphasis you've been putting on traffic safety. It's super important. You guys are doing it every day in your jobs, and we're here at the health department to try to play our part in this puzzle as well. So my name is Julianne Manley, director for the Polk County Health Department. My PIO, Abby, is the very brain behind this, but she can't be here today. But we kind of conceived of this idea together and have gone through a lot of steps to hopefully get this campaign to a place where it's ready to launch actually next week. So we have come up with a campaign around the idea that we all arrive. We all arrive safely, because we know that every day we're trying to get somewhere through some means, whether it's in our vehicle or on our bicycles or walking. And what's most important is that we all arrive safely. So the health department, our mission, just to give you a little bit of an idea of how this ties so closely to our work, is to create the conditions for all people to live healthy lives by empowering individuals, following the science, and building on the strength of our community. So I just want to point out that this is us empowering individuals. That's how we view public education around campaigns like this. This is us following the data, because we've seen an almost doubling of the traffic fatality rate in Polk County over the last 10 years. Even though we haven't doubled in crashes. And this is us building on the strength of our community, because we hope to leverage all of you and your seats and your networks to be able to push this message out much broader than we could if the health department were doing this alone. So I've kind of hit on this, and I'm going to try to just move quickly today. Why transportation safety, all the things that I just mentioned. I did want to make a note: in 2025, there were 22 traffic-related deaths in Polk County, which was a drop from the year before. So we are seeing some improvement. And again, that's from a whole bunch of partners kind of working together in the same direction. Again, this aligns with our injury and death focus, promoting safe environment, but also supporting behavior change and using data to traffic action. So what we knew coming into this campaign is that there was a whole bunch already going on. We didn't know who exactly was doing it and where and how coordinated that was. So over the last couple of months, we've met with dozens and dozens of governmental, non-governmental, advocacy, community-based organizations that have in some way, shape, or form touch or want to touch the topic of traffic safety. And so through all of that work and those partnerships and conversations, we've been able to pull a bunch of strong materials kind of forward to understand that a lot is going on. There's some great Vision Zero work happening, of course, and being communicated about. The statewide hands-free driving stuff is really critical and key right now. But there's still holes in that messaging, and that messaging is still fairly siloed, right? Coming out from maybe one organization or two at a time with one message, rather than across a shared platform and a set of partners. So we really wanted to kind of figure out how we can come in and support that, and also acknowledge that there's changes happening right now, particularly around e-bikes, e-scooters, those sorts of things that need to be addressed in real time. And as you know, the political and legal ramifications of that's coming all to play, and the health ramifications are starting to come out, we need to be able to be responsive with messaging on how folks can be safe in those environments as well. But through all of this, and from what we heard from our partners, we know that we have a shared goal, which is safer roads for everyone. And that gives us an easy kind of entry into using this collective responsibility framework for our campaign. So we are acting essentially as a convener and activator. We don't think of this as a health department campaign, but as a community-wide campaign. You'll see our logo sometimes, but oftentimes not. And we're hopeful that your logos will end up on a lot of this if you decide to kind of opt in and really partner with us. We want to support consistency in messaging, especially around health-related topics. And we've seen some inconsistency. And again, we want to bring that shared framework under. We want to bring that under the shared framework of collective responsibility. So our safety and the safety of those around us is not automatic. It is a choice we make every time we move through our community. So again, whichever way you move through the community, we're making a choice whether or not we're going to be a concerned citizen, someone who cares about our neighbors, someone who's willing to slow down and pay attention to make sure that I'm doing my part to uphold our collective deal as we move through our communities together, right? We all have to share them. There's no way around that. So how do we make sure we're taking ownership over that and understanding that by doing my part, I'm making sure that I'm keeping our community safe. So the idea again is we all arrive. We intend to be very inclusive of all types of road users. You'll see an expansion upon this, but that's kind of our general logo and tag. Our key campaign elements, and again, this launches next week with kind of press materials and the website going live, but there's videos and social content, a really big website hub that's coming out that we're excited about, really highlighting local groups who are doing this work, and then being a place for all of these materials to land. We'll also be kicking out physical materials to folks, putting out signage in the community, activating kind of trying to influence decisions in real time by getting billboards up and other communications kind of broad and a bit visually available. But we hope to work with folks like you to help us tailor that within your communities. We've got this general concept. We've got a little money for doing that more paid campaign stuff, although we're looking for more partners. But we'd love to figure out how to work with folks who are kind of in the weeds, know where we've got maybe less safe areas in our community and what messaging that might need to be in that area to tailor this, and then to work with partners around to really push it out. So we hope you see us as an ally, someone who can help you use these materials in the way that works for you, not just as something that we're kind of handing you and hope fits squarely in whatever box. Just a little glimpse, there'll be a whole bunch of materials in our Dropbox that folks can pull down immediately and put their logo on. This is real basic stuff, but we hope it becomes kind of, people start to understand kind of the visual look and feel of these materials and our logo, and start to recognize that over the course of the summer as we push more and more of this out. So again, videos, fact sheets, print materials, all of that will be online immediately starting next week. And then we need your help with doing a ton of collecting partner materials, because some of you are using really great stuff. If you haven't sent us your stuff, our emails at the end of this, we would love to have it out there, because we don't all need to create safety materials or information around e-scooters or e-bikes. We can really get behind some of that shared messaging. So please let us leverage what you're doing and help us kind of share that with others. I'm not going to talk through this, but the intent for this campaign to eventually get very broad and fairly all-encompassing around traffic safety. So these are some of the topics that are kind of up on our agenda, as will be kind of mini spotlights in this campaign. And so want to, again, have you think, as you're thinking through, do I have any materials, or does my host government or community have this? Things on any of these topics would be greatly appreciated. And we'd also love to hear from you if there are topics that you don't see on this list that you feel like we really need to address in some of these materials, so we can be responsive to that as well. So actually yesterday, we convened about 40 partners online to do a soft launch of the campaign, had great responsiveness and turnout from community members and organizations and local governments. And kind of walked them through the website and the materials in the hub, and had a really great response. So excited that happened. And then next week, we'll be sending out kind of to all of our distribution lists, including through local governments, the kind of finalized full materials and access to that website and all that sort of thing. So we're launching right now in real time. And we are trying to bring in what we know about public health messaging, what we know about the data, and strategy into this, but we really need your help if this is going to land successfully. So this is just like really step one in this. We're presenting these initial set of materials. Please let us work with you. Let us know what your community actually needs. Let me know if some of this isn't landing. I would love that feedback. That would be great. We've tried to test some of this material, but it's hard. And we want to make sure that it's actually helping folks and not waste anybody's time, right? So we're open to partnership, to pivoting, to adding in new players to this, whatever can be helpful. Maybe you could share out the slide deck afterwards.
The slides will be included in our post-meeting email. So you have all this information. And I'll say that when you're ready for it, we can blast out the Dropbox so everyone has direct access to it.
So any questions?
Julianne, you mentioned partners and also looking for sources of material. Have you spoken with the Metro Communicator Group?
Yes, I believe Addie has, but I will double check. I'm pretty certain.
Okay, they're our professionals of that.
Yeah, they're from each. Yeah.
I would
Awesome. Okay, appreciate your time today, everybody.
Thank you.
Next item is the Safe Streets for All grant application. Marcus.
So I think we've discussed before that was the funding opportunity for the Streets and Roads for All program was released in March with a very short timeline this year. It's due in 15 days. A little under $1 billion. USDOT keeps some of the money for administrative costs. The award range from 2.5 to 25 million. And then they're expecting again around 40 to 70 implementation grants. And then the usual stuff. Eligible expenses have not really changed from previous years. The one change that occurred this year was they put more emphasis on EMS services, providing blood in ambulance. It's a way to keep people alive getting to the hospital. So that was the only change. So just to cover kind of how we got here and what we're looking at for this next session, or this next round. 2025, we submitted these 3 packages as we've seen before. We got funding for package 2 and then the first part of package 3. So the other pieces that weren't funded were still eligible. So what we're looking at this year is really these first 9 projects of implementation funding. Same projects that moved forward last year in the application are moving forward again this year. We reached out to all the communities, said yes, they continue that. So those will be moving forward next application. Just going through what that means for funding requests and matches and things like that. So we have 9 projects. Total cost of this project is a little over $28 million. The for a grant application request is a little under 15. Other matching funds or other funds and including the match is a little over 11. This is a breakdown of just the SS4A totals for each community. So as you can see there, there's SS4A requests for each project and the match associated with that project just for the SS4A portion. This has not changed from last year. All the communities that are included in the grant application should expect materials from me at the end of the week. So you can give a quick review and let me know if anything has changed in terms of costs so we can put this up. And then just looking at the member community match, how that breaks down. Again, nothing really changed from last year. Any questions on this?
This 4 match you have up there, is that for both the last year's and this year's?
This match?
Yeah.
Well, it should just be for the construction funding this year.
This way, 86th Street. Okay. All right. I'm thinking we were 100,000 last year, or last time we submitted for the 86th Street corridor.
I think there should be 100 to match ours.
Yeah. 50 was the university that got funded in the first part of the year, right?
Okay, make that change.
Any other questions on the grant application?
Mark, when you're reaching out at the end of the week, are you going to include a sample resolution report
So actually, the resolution support don't technically need to change. They were generic enough that
Okay,
we didn't have any specific costs in there. For the communities that did include the appendix that had the projects, we can just remove that.
okay,
So, but yeah, I'll include everything that was sent last year that your community provided, so you can look it over.
thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we need a vote to,
Do you have a question?
Just a real quick, Mark, does USDOT or FHA regulate any indication when these grants would likely be awarded?
As typical, they generally say about 6 months after the grant deadline, but they usually say that, and it's kind of based on staffing and availability time and the flurry of grants they have. So, the only thing that they did mention was that if they don't hit their planning minimum threshold, they'll roll all of the rest of planning funds into implementation dollars. So there potentially could be more implementation dollars.
Marcus, so just to clarify, you do not need new resolutions?
We do not need new resolutions.
Thank you.
Unless you want to send a new resolution, then we're happy to have it. They were written in a way that it just covers the support for the grant. So.
any other questions? If not, we need a motion or vote on the submission of the application.
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
John? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item, final recommendation on the funding scenario. Dylan.
Thank you. So we've been at this for quite a while now, and we're toward the end here. So just to recap where we're at in this process, you can see on the screen there all the steps we've gone through. So what we're asking today is a final approval of this package that we've talked about as far as the restructuring of the funding and the scoring, but also some things that trigger, that this vote will trigger, including updating the long-range transportation plan and so forth. So we can walk through this a little bit. We're not going to go through all of the various slides we've gone through several times. If you want more detail, we can get into that. But just to kind of quickly recap, the main components of this revised scenario would be starting the process in July instead of December, increasing weight of safety scores, but also having a low minimum threshold for that score, funding 80% of the audits and the countermeasures on the high and critical corridors. That would also potentially include hiring a Vision Zero coordinator or at least some sort of staff capacity to help manage all of that. We created a new funding target for safety specifically. That would be 15%, and then we reshuffled the other categories to take away from them to add and make that 15%. And then the final thing would be to do a study, hire a firm to do a study to put together a pilot program for a potential funding swap process. So that's the main components of that scenario, and we've talked about that a few times. So I'll pause here real quick and see, does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. So if you go to the next slide, just real quick on the funding cycle, like we said, that's going to start July 1st this time. So I know this is hard to see on the screen. This will be in slides that go out afterwards, and we've shared this with you before. Just a quick thing to note here is keep in mind that we will be catching up and doing 2 years worth of funding in this first cycle. So we'll do was that 29 and 30 or 31? So there'll be a lot of money this first round to catch up on that. Go to the next slide. The things that this will trigger, like I said, this will, in addition to just setting all that in place, this will also revise the long-range transportation plan so that these funding targets are consistent with that plan. Move forward on the RFP to develop that funding swap program, put together the funding guidelines that will go out along with the applications so that all that makes sense, and then also establish that Vision Zero program. That'll be the program that we, do using the Safe Streets for All funding, but also potentially expand that over time. So we just kind of get to that rolling process of doing the audits and then doing the low-cost safety countermeasures. So this one vote will kind of take care of all of these administrative things too. Are there any questions about any of this?
So would you not be able to use the funding until FY 2031?
2030, 30 and 31 would be the 2 years. The one thing that we are trying to explore is for that Vision Zero program is can we get that started now because it's low cost enough we might be able to roll some funding around. We're kind of exploring that still. But for the other, just like our regular process, it's 4 years in advance. We're awarding projects now that will be funded 4 years later, right?
But if we're lumping them together in 2 years,
Right.
they'll 30 or 30.
It'll be split. So we'll have to be in fiscal capacity. So some of them will be programmed at 30, some of them will be 31, and we'll just work with the communities to figure out how that needs to shake out.
The applications.
And we'll cover this later under other items, but again, on that, with June 4th, we'll have the kind of the training session prior to the next tech meeting, we'll have that training session to walk through the tool, make sure we're here to answer any questions of how to actually go through the application process.
Any other questions? Thank you to the couple of folks from tech that served on that funding committee that helped with these decisions and direction. If there's no other questions, I would look for a vote on the final recommended funding scenario. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Thank you. Fiscal year 27 Unified Planning Work Program and Budget. Gunnar.
Last time we have to hear about this for about 6 months. We've been talking to you about our work program for the coming fiscal year. Before I jump into it, I'm going to talk about the current fiscal year briefly. This is a snapshot of all the projects in our current UPWP. I know this is hard to see, but I will draw your attention to the green bars in the center there. That marks our progress. So what I want you to take away from this is that we are near or complete with everything that we had set out to do. There's a couple of gaps there. Some of those are projects that can't really be wrapped up till the end of the year, like the annual report, for example. And I also want to draw your attention to the big planning initiatives that we've been working on, the active transportation plan and the freight plan. We're in final stages of those, and we're really feeling really good about where we're at with those. They're not going to be totally wrapped up this fiscal year. At the current time, we're anticipating them to be close to front of you in August for approval. So hoping to have a draft for you to look at next month, or at least close to a draft. We'll have a public comment period. We don't have any meetings with you in July, as you recall. So our next opportunity will be in August. Any questions about this before I move on? Thank you. So this is our work program. This is a required document for us. It just lays out everything that we're planning on doing in the next year, justifies the use of our federal funds. We submitted our draft in April, and the final is going to be due on June 1st. So the DOT did provide us feedback. It was all very pretty minor in nature. Like one of the things was literally making sure our appendixes were labeled with like a few real superficial stuff. One thing that I'll notice that they asked us to separate out the SS4A grant funding and local match into a standalone table for clarity on their end. But no significant changes from what you thought previously. I'm going to briefly go through what is contained in here. This is very hard to read, but it's here as a reminder that we did a lot of strategic planning work over the last 2-3 years, and we've broken our work down into 4 main buckets from left to right. On the far left is essentially our core operations administration. And then the second column there would be, these are the fundamental things that we are required to our core documents, LRTP, work program, et cetera. And then in the third column, these are the support services that we provide to our member jurisdictions. So data requests, work with one of our governments right now on a grant application, or recently we did that. And then on the far right column, this is a bucket of what Dylan likes to call wildly important ideas, or dubbed purpose-driven innovation. We have a few projects in that category that we've worked on over the years. So I'm not going to read all these. You've seen them before, but These are all the pieces that are in the UPWP as it relates to governance and operations. One new thing that I will highlight is that we're doing a amendments and bylaws review over the coming year. That process is in the early stages of starting. Next, I'll note the various, these are all the kind of core pieces that we're going to be working on, SCBG tab, preparing for mobilizing our update, etc. Under partnerships and services, these are kind of similar to what we've been doing. I don't think there's anything here to highlight. And on the purpose-driven innovation, I'll call out a couple of things that are newish. One is the Grimes line abandonment that is happening right now and we're reacting to. So that's going to be something that we continue to respond as the situation develops. And then the other one is the Vision Zero program, which you all just gave us the green light on propping that up. So there's more work on getting that operational. Anything else? Any questions? Anything I've shared with you here? We would ask for your approval.
Any questions on the work program? If not, we need a motion to approve. Need a motion.
To approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Program is approved. Thank you. Next item is the 26-29 tip amendments.
This is a housekeeping item, and I'm covering for Addison, who's at BPSM today. There are two amendments from the Iowa DOT. They'd like to add a pair of resurfacing projects to the current tip. One is here on US 65. The other is the other side of the interchange on US 6. All the information is in your packets on the screen. Just ask for approval.
I'll move to approve it.
John, is there a second?
Sorry.
John? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 9, legislative updates. Tell us the good news, then.
No, I don't have any of that. But you tell me the good. No, is there any? Well, the planning principles.
Principles didn't pass.
Didn't pass. SUDAS bill, and I want to put this in. This is more of a discussion for you, let alone, less of me talking at you and more of you to discuss. But I've heard that there was additional SUDAS language that was put in appropriations bill, but I haven't found anything, so I don't know.
It was one line item in the appropriations bill that I think it is something to do with the nonprofit organization. Something was in the appropriations bill that passed on Sunday. I can find it. And
I was still looking for it. Wasn't finding it yet, but
That's still sitting on the governor's desk.
I don't believe any of these, but it's to my knowledge.
Well, the governor only has 3 days to sign, and if she doesn't sign in 3 days, no, before the session, so, right? But the SUDAS passed.
before, yeah.
So, if she doesn't sign, it becomes law in 3 days, I thought. And after the session's out, then she's got 30.
So the big one, of course, and I'm sure you all pay very close attention to this, is the property tax reform. I've included some bullets up here. The first 3 bullets are summaries provided to us by the Greater Mine Partnership, speaking to the 2% hard cap, but they also a couple of exemptions, the limits to TIF districts, and then I'll note at the end there that Form Bill excluded the provision that was being talked about indexing the mortgage tax up to inflation. So that did make it. I'll open it up to the floor and ask if there's any, how you all are feeling about this. Karen fire, Panther fire. Minus 5, I've heard both.
Bonding attorneys are gonna have to tell us how it all works for the TIF stuff, so.
And critical components, the TIF and tax abatement release are not included in new valuation, which makes those tools not useful anymore if we can never collect the general fund revenue to support the administrative services that we need to support new growth. So
I think that like the action that Des Moines took on Monday, not approving a development agreement with the developer, that is the same decisions that my council will be making next week to not approve development agreements that include those incentives, trying to figure out how we can end districts early, how we can get out of obligations that we owe, because we'll never be able to make payments on things that we have bonded for.
I'm sure you know this. Yeah,
Nick was optimistic about it. We're a little bit more doom and gloom.
Well, and some of it is each city is going to be affected differently. You know, we were affected negatively by House File 718, and that we had to take a haircut on our growth. At least we get our the best. 2% cap isn't great, but historically, our tax rate, our increases have been right around that point anyway. I mean, it'll be interesting how this plays out in future years. TIF has a huge impact on us. We've used it extensively the last couple of years, and I think Madeline said it correctly. I mean, what's the incentive if you don't get to see the growth? But when it's finally realized.
I'll add that 2013 Altoona came to the table, agreed to a 20-year tax abatement at the urging of the state for the Facebook project. And the promise was in 20 years, you get this huge valuation that you're going to be able to collect on. So if that doesn't happen, I think Dean has made his opinion known on that. So our mayor has. So it's not, and it still remains to be seen is that exactly what happens. We can't collect the increase in valuation, you know, because that increase in valuation went on the books in, you know, 2013, 14, 15 as those buildings got completed with the tax abatement. So yeah, shows up. We still get 2% a year, but there's no big jump there like we kind of anticipated. So
I don't know why any community would partner with the state on a deal
no, you want.
knowing that the revenue.
And I'll also add the Robinson project bringing 400 odd manufacturing, not odds, 400 plus manufacturing jobs to the state. You know, the DOT came through with a RISE grant of about $8.5 million. The state came back through with some nice economic development incentives to the tune of about $1.2 million. So the hard, thought after manufacturing job that everyone, at least I kind of dream about. That's the state's motivation to get those votes. So I'll stop.
The only other bad thing is the sidewalk liability didn't pass again either.
Imagine we, like you, will be watching for additional analysis as it comes out. I'd ask, is this a topic that you would like to have if we were to find someone to speak to deeper analysis? That's something you'd like to have at this table? Maybe different place. It's kind of tangential to our mission, but just don't know. I'm not getting a loud response, so I'm gonna let it fly.
To Nick's point, I think it's so community specific and we're all hearing from our own individual sources at this point, unless it's more transportation related. I mean, I think property tax, we can probably find other sources for that.
Okay, federal transportation reauthorization, not a whole lot moving here. The one big update I have for you is that in conversations with Grassy Talk recently, Gary indicated that they are taken out by the current Congress. We'll have to wait until the next Congress. Related to the weight exemption that we're looking for at the federal level will have to be resubmitted as part of the reauthorization process. No cause for alarm, just
I did hear yesterday that they expect to have a draft out of committee by June or July for consideration, so that there will at least be something to review, hopefully, yet this summer on transportation reauthorization.
That's what I have for you. So, you'd like to.
I'll just note too for federal probably doesn't apply to a lot of folks here, but MVP for the partnership trip, we put together a panel working with the partnership that will talk about reauthorization. So folks on the trip will get kind of the latest update on what's going on there and what's being asked for, I guess, from the local community perspective. So I think there'll be a panel with National League of Cities, Association of Counties, and PO Association, that kind of thing. So that'll be interesting here. And one of the keynote speakers is the chair of the Environmental Public Works Committee, which is the main committee on the Senate side that puts together reauthorization of their partnerships, trying to make a transportation afternoon out of it for one of those days.
Good.
We have a couple of items. If you want to go to the next one, on May 29th, you might have, I don't know if anyone in the room would have got an invite for this yet, but if not, probably will soon. But on May 29th, there is going to be a bus tour, and it's going to be around Route 4 on the DART system. But it's a partnership with Housing Trust Fund, the MPO, Capital Crossroads, the partnership. And so it's going to be kind of a preview of that route, but also highlighting the different community assets that are along that route. So you'll be able to see some economic development projects, affordable housing projects, transportation projects, and so forth. So encourage you, if you get that invite, consider going. Also share it with your elected officials too, or city managers and so forth. If it doesn't make sense for you, we're trying to make sure we get a lot of public engagement on that. So that's one thing. I think the other one I've already kind of mentioned, but June 4th, Dollars and Donuts, with your projects in mind, and we'll help you sit down and figure out how to fill out those applications. Also, June 9th in Perry is the next DOT commission meeting where they do public input opportunities. Shelby wanted to share this, so if you want to be on that agenda, you can reach out to her. Her contact information is there. It'll start at about 8:15 in Perry. She suggested that if you are going after DOT projects or funding or anything like that, this is a good idea to get in front of them and make sure that they're aware that you're going for this and you seek their assistance. If you have questions about any of that, I've done that a number of times. I know some of you have to, but if that's new for you, let us know. We can help steer you through that process too. And then congrats to Madeline.
No, so I took the certified economic developer through International Economic Development Council exam, and there's only 23 in the state. There's less than 1,000 nationwide of who hold this designation. So something as we're continuing to, not that economic development matters anymore, but it's doing, but we'll try.
Well, congratulations.
All right, next meeting is June 4th, during the partnership trip, so
Gunnar and I will be gone. I don't know. We'll figure out who's sitting next to Madeline here running the meeting. But
otherwise, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. We are adjourned.